Welcome to the Spider-Man 3 review, a review in the next 5 reviews that I'm doing with Jack over at Jack's Channel of Stuff. We've been reviewing all the Spider-Man films, alternating back and forth on each other's channel, reviewing each film. Make sure to subscribe to get notified on the next reviews that we're doing. Spider-Man 3. Jack, tell me what you thought about it.
What's up, Patrick? I'm very happy to be back on your channel today talking about Spider-Man 3. I remember kind of liking Spider-Man 3, or at least enjoying Spider-Man 3, so when I saw people bashing and hating on it, I'm like, I like Spider-Man 3, what's the big deal? But after rewatching it today for this review series, I'm not going to be defending the film that much anymore. There is too much of everything in this film. There's too many characters, there's too many plot lines, there's too many villains, too much stuff just crammed into this film, and it's so jumbled, it's so messy, and it's just so severely unfocused. If you were to ask me what is Spider-Man 3 about, I would actually have to pause and think about it for a couple seconds. What the hell's going on in this film? Well, we've got Mary Jane Watson who's struggling on Broadway, she gets fired from her play, she's really stressed out at all that stuff in the critic reviews, and then she's stressed out at Peter Parker for being a complete oblivious idiot at everything going on in her life and keep telling her that it's going to be okay when it's not. Then you have Harry Osborn, who becomes the new Green Goblin for a few minutes, and then he gets amnesia and forgets about what's happened recently. You also have Eddie Brock at the Daily Bugle, who hates Peter Parker. You have Gwen Stacy, and that's another love interest for the film. Then you have Sandman, who's all of a sudden Uncle Ben's actual killer. And you've also got Peter Parker getting the black symbiote suit, and it starts to turn him into even more of an asshole than he was at the start of the film with all the stupid dancing in the jazz club and whatnot. Oh my god, there's actually so much stuff they crammed into this film, it's absurd. So overall, Spider-Man 3 is about everything and it's about everyone, so it's pretty much about nothing and nobody. Who's supposed to be the main villain of this film? Is it supposed to be Harry Osborn, which I think it should have been because that's what the entire series was building up towards? But he gets taken down in a few minutes in a fight at the start of the film, so okay, he's not the villain anymore. So then we have Sandman. Is he now the main villain? He gets taken down after like a couple of fight scenes. Okay, so he's gone. Then we get all the emo Peter Parker stuff, then the Green Goblin comes back again, and then Sandman comes back again, and then we have Venom in the film. I don't even think Sony even knew what they were doing with this film. They wanted Venom in there, they wanted Gwen Stacy in there, they just wanted everything, and they made Sam Raimi put everything in this film, and it just sacrificed the overall quality of it. It would have been fine if all these plot threads felt like they were actually, you know, coexisting and going alongside each other, and they actually connected to each other, but they really don't. I don't hate Spider-Man 3 though. I don't think it's a garbage, horrible film. There are some coolish action scenes, even though some of them have some really bad CGI. Every time they try and CGI Tobey Maguire's head on a digital body, oh my god, it was so bad. The big end fight scene where it's the tag team between Spider-Man and New Goblin versus Venom and Sandman, it was quite cool to see that kind of tag team go head to head. It was kind of like a hint as to what the Avengers was going to be in a few years' time, seeing these comic book characters team up against each other. And admittedly, the ending did get me a little bit emotional, seeing Harry Osborn die. Spoiler alert, the film's been out for 10 years, you must have seen it by now. But when Harry Osborn sacrifices himself for Peter Parker and he succumbs to his wounds, it was actually quite emotional, and thinking about the first two films and just remembering back when they used to be the best friends in high school and now it's all progressed to this, it was actually quite monumental. It doesn't entirely make up for the film, but it is one of the positives of the film. And I really hated what they did with Peter Parker in this film. I mean, at the start of the film, he's unlikable to begin with. He's just completely oblivious to all of Mary Jane's problems. He's like, no, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. And then to make it even worse, he just keeps talking about himself. Oh no, Spider-Man gets critics all the time. You know, I have to deal with that stuff. It's all going to be fine, MJ. And this is before he gets the symbiote suit, so it's not like you can forgive it, because when he gets the symbiote suit, it's turning him into a douchebag. Here, when he's being the oblivious dipshit, you're just like, dude, come on now. Overall, Spider-Man 3 was a big disappointment upon rewatch. I remember liking it, but now it's just not a good film. There's too much stuff happening in the film, too many villains, too many plot lines, just too much stuff crammed into this film, and like I already mentioned, it's severely unfocused and very messy. There are some good parts to it, there's some good, decent action scenes, but overall, I'm going to give Spider-Man 3 a 2 out of 5. Thanks once again for having me, Patrick. I'm looking forward to talking the amazing Spider-Man over at my channel, but for now, back to you.
Thank you, Jack. I could not agree with you more on what you said on this movie, and I can't wait to add on to it. So in Spider-Man 3, they focused a lot on Peter finding out that the person that had killed Uncle Ben originally is actually still alive in Sandman. That is one of the main villains that we get in this very crowded movie. Peter's now kind of grappling with his fandom of being Spider-Man and everybody loving him, while also with the real-life scenario of him having having to face his biggest demon, the person that killed his uncle. Sprinkled throughout our little side stories, we have Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane, who is struggling with her career and is also struggling with wanting to be more than what she is and getting a little bit jealous of Spider-Man. We have Harry Osborn, who has gone completely Green Goblin, totally listening to his father talking in his ear. And we start with what's going to be an amazing action sequence between Spider-Man and Harry Osborn, finally them clashing together after this build-up of the first and second film. And what do we get? Harry Osborn gets sidelined in what should be probably the more prominent role that he should have in this movie. But they cram so many people in the movie, so many plot lines, so many villains, that it just completely collapses under the weight of all of the stuff that they're trying to do in this movie. And yes, they do include Venom the symbiote, but is it really what the fans were looking for? To me, it was shoehorned in. It definitely didn't feel like it was in tone with what the movie was trying to be. And it caused some of the worst parts in the film, where it was Peter Parker dancing like a weirdo, with him deciding to just part his hair down and become evil all of a sudden. And then we have the stupid jazz piece that he did over at the jazz club that Mary Jane was working at. Now dig on this. I gotta go do something. I can't keep talking about this movie. It's getting me angry. Happy time. Let's go. Ain't no mercy. Let's talk about the positives, because there are still some positives to this movie. J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. Again, always great. A perfect casting for this role and for this actor. There's a little bit more depth between Peter and Harry's relationship that also gets fleshed out to an extent. I mean, it's not necessarily what everybody was expecting after Spider-Man 2, but they do finally get a resolution for those two character arcs, and it somewhat worked. But for the rest of this film, it's just bogged down with so many stupid decisions by studio executives to try to meddle into this film and tell 5 different stories because they think that's what people will like. I do honestly believe if Sam Raimi was not tasked to have to throw in the symbiote, throw in all these different aspects that the studio wanted him to do, we would have had a much more cohesive movie. It would have been way more streamlined, and it would have focused on what really mattered and what we were hoping would matter: the characters. If you're a Spider-Man fan, of course you're gonna find some enjoyable moments in this movie, but nobody can argue that this is actually a good film, because it just isn't. I'm gonna give Spider-Man 3 a 4 out of 10. Once again, Jack, thank you for coming on my channel, for doing this review, for letting me work with you on all of these different movies. I really appreciate it. Guys, make sure to go over to his channel for the Amazing Spider-Man review, back over here for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then Spider-Man Homecoming. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you at the next review.